I need my phone. Got my phone on me. Right, testing, testing. I'll go full screen. Let's see. Do I hear myself? Let's see. Yep, I do. And we're ready to go. Myself. Let's see. Yep, I do. All right. Feeling a little sick. It's very annoying. Okay, double check my volumes. Okay, I'm definitely louder than music, so that's good. Increase music slightly. Alright, so, hello everybody, welcome to the VOD slash stream, depending on if you're watching this live or not. So this is just a continuation of an older stream where I was doing some rigging experiments. And everything has been completed for one of the limbs. Now I'll do a little bit of a review on what exactly this rig is, and then I will showcase me transferring this to a different proportion. So this might be useful for people who want to change the length of your limbs, per se. Alright, so anyway, let's just get a quick start on this rig. This is a limb rig. Specifically, this is for an arm. So it's bendy bone centric, so it's made with bendy bones. And it's by default curvy. There is no sharp bends for this, so this is completely smooth bends. Right, so we'll start off with just the basic IK mode. The IK mode works pretty standard. We have the root IK controller, which controls the whole bottom portion of the limb. And we also have a rolling controller, where we need to roll the arm. In addition to that, we have a secondary IK controller. This is not really meant to be touched, but just in case you wanted the rolling plane to be stationary, you can still move the arm that way. Right. In addition to that, we also have tweak controllers. So if you want to tweak the arms, we can. We also have twist controllers at the top here. Oops. I'll probably put a lock on those. So I'm just gonna lock their Z and Y. Oops. And X. There we go. So X and Z get locked so that we can only rotate it this way. So we have this. I'm gonna make sure I set this to XYZ Euler. We can continuously rotate this over and over again. Yep, that works. We also have another. This one could also be twisted, but it's not very accurate, or not. It's not. It's not very accurate. It just doesn't go past 180. Same goes for the bottom one. It's just a math issue here. What do you think about that? We have squash and stretch on this rig. I can turn off the squash and stretch so that it is completely, well, I guess this is volume preservation that turned off, not squash and stretch. Right, and then we can also manually change the volume using the slider. Cool feature that I've added is an extension feature that allows you to extend your limbs outwards in this direction, and you can also retract it inwards. Ooh, look at this. We have a little issue here where the thing is not aligned properly. I think we can just, there we go, because I had a pose on it. We have a retraction feature, and it works for both bottom and top. Yo, hi entertainer, welcome to the stream. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. I'm still a little sick. My nose is stuffy, but other than that, I'm pretty fine. You bad that I was about to... Too bad I was about to go rest. Hope you have a great stream. Yeah, thanks for dropping by. Thank you for dropping by. Hope to see you again later. Alright. So, what was I again? Alright, we were talking about stretch, right? So we have... this is like stretch mode normal. I also have a feature where you can turn off the stretch so that if you wanted this to be like a specific length, you can. So currently it's locked into this specific length, but you can technically change it just by you know, repositioning this thing. It's not exact though, so it's not too accurate. The one thing that matters is right now it's going to stick to its original length. So this is like an original length mode. And this works for both the bottom and the top, but you cannot have both of these on. Right, so this is what you would see for the legs, but then the arms you would use this, generally. Right, so after that, I have the FK mode, which works pretty similarly to most FK rigs. You just have a controller down here, you have a shoulder controller over here, and you have a wrist controller. The wrist controller actually does have shape keys that is similar to a what is it called? It's pretty similar to a sharp bend shape key. So if I were to go check the lattice, is it this one? Not this one. It's the OG lattice. Let me just check this out. Yeah, here we have lattices that change based on what the pose is. Oh, I hope you'll get well. Thank you very much, sir. Hope you have a great rest of your day. The reason I had that shape key lattice is because if I were to disable that lattice, you can notice that we have clipping here, right? And this is generally what happens when you have bends like this. This also happens in like human models too. So you know, using a shape key that's driven specifically by this angle, right? So the shape key here is just go open up a driver, select the OG thing, and then open up the driver. So specifically how this is being driven is drivers. Here it goes, drivers. I'm just doing, it's actually a linear equation. It's not like it's much more simpler than what you would use in a sharp bend, because in sharp bends you'd use tan variable over 2. There's a whole ass explanation as to why you use it, but it's a little much for this video, so we're just gonna stick with this. This is variable divided by 1.21. You know, it's a very specific number. This specific number corresponds to 70 degrees. Right, 70 degrees in radians is 1.213004. That's important because I want this to be 1 when the angle is 70 degrees, because I designed it to be 70 degrees. So when I go in and I rotate this to 70 degrees. Oh, hi, good morning, Prismarine. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. So when I rotate this 70 degrees, bit of an issue here. Oh, what is this? It did not work the way I expected it to work. Because I forgot to do this. Wait 1 second. Turn off this and just do this. Yeah, there we go. Forgot to correct this one specifically, but yeah. So at 70 degrees, this one, the tip of the wrist touches. Oops. It touches the edge of the arm, right? And that's when I need everything to kind of like converge into a single point. And that happens at 70 degrees again. So the shape key has to be 1 when this is rotated 70 degrees. And since we have, since Blender calculates most angles in radians, we have to change it from 70 to 1.213004. Because you can see here, the value is 69.6 degrees, but it's read as 1.214 is radians. I finally got my headphones. That's great. That's great to hear. I can't live without headphones. So in addition to this being FK, you can actually move all of these as if they were IK, so that's kind of cool, but you know, they're meant to be used as rotation modes. And we also have a hybrid FK controller here, that works as, if you know, in case you need a little bit of extra tweaking, you can use this hybrid FK, which is, you know, an IK controller when you have FK enabled. Same thing goes for here. And the top extension and retraction works same. One issue I have right now is currently that the bottom stretch does not work properly. Or sorry, the bottom... Oh, the stream's a little laggy? Really? Ooh. 1 second, let me check my... I am connected to Ethernet, I think, so... Should be fine. Do I have... From guitar? Sorry about that. No, it's definitely me. So just let me know if it's okay now. Testing, testing, testing. Hopefully this is all good now. I'm gonna wait a bit, see if everything stops lagging. And when it stops lagging, I'll continue. Are you good? Testing. Hope you guys can hear me. Let me know if it's laggy or not laggy. If it's still laggy, I mean, either way. Oh, I just went out of my Ethernet range. Oh well, I should be fine though, right? I'm gonna assume, yeah, okay, it's fine, great. So let's keep on going with this rig thing, right? So yeah, top stretch, bottom stretch. This also still has the manual volume preservation button that you can slide in and out. It's nice. You can still twist it even in FK, which is nice as well. Just sit here like this as well. I have big headphones now. Ooh, I did see that. It's really, really fancy. Black Shark V2 4th edition Razer. Ooh. I have a SteelSeries Arctis Pro 5. Quite like it. Okay, so that's the basics of the rig. If there's any questions at any point, you can always ask me. Oh wait, I forgot to mention I have a rigid. I have a rigid switch that allows us to do rigid control. So this removes all of the bends from the bone. In addition to that, I also have a rigid roll, which lets me roll. Ooh, that's a little bit of an issue. Why is the... Oh, wait. Why does rigid roll... Oh, wait, no, yeah, it's supposed to happen, right? I'm a little bit stupid. So rigid roll is when you're rolling and the whole mesh stays rigid. So it's like a cube. Doesn't move at all, doesn't bend at all. But you can still pose it, and then this still counts as rigid. You can still roll it as if it was a rigid controller. Anyway, so that's the basics of the rig. If anybody has any questions on how I made any of these features, please do ask. I would love to share. But the job today is we're going to transfer this rig into this smaller rig. Because this is the arms, but these are the legs, and then this is a limb rig. I need it to also work for the legs, so we're just gonna transfer the rig, resize the controllers, and basically just make it so that it works specifically for this. How did you make this thing that looks like a foot roll? Well, I'm assuming you mean the foot roll itself, right? Because I do have a foot roll. This is the foot roll, right? If you want to know how to make this, it's actually pretty simple. Let me show you. Alright, so the basics of the foot roll system is here. So the things that are important are specifically these controllers. Right? So we have these controllers, we have the bottom IK controller, and then we have these 4 roller bones, or I like to call them. Right? And the purpose of these bones are to roll the IK controller in each of the 4 directions. Right? This one specifically rolls it backwards, this one rolls it forwards, this one rolls it to the side, and then this one rolls it to the opposite side. Right. Now, what else do you need to do? First, you need to pair these bones to each other so that when you roll one of the bones, the other bones follow. And the hierarchy I've chosen is this is the first bone. This bone is parented. So you can see how if I can just unravel this. Right, you can see the things now, right? So do it this way. So this one is pointed to this one, 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 right? Okay, so once you're done with that, you need to add transformation constraints so that you have a controller that can decide how this rolls, right? So the way you do this is you add a transformation constraint to each of these 4 bones, and then you find out which direction the rotation is. So I want this one to rotate in the, let me just change this to local, right? So I wanted this to rotate in the y-axis. Specifically, you can see here the positive y-axis. So over here, we're going to map this rotation, right, which is the positive z rotation, into the positive y rotation of this bone. So if you look over here, I'm transforming the rotations from this. So you can see I've set this as the bone target, wrist roller.l, that's this bone. Both of them must be in local space, and then you have to map it from here. I've chosen the z-axis because this is the movement I want, right? This is the z-axis. 0 to 90 degrees because this is, I'm not going to roll all the way down here, so I'm only going to roll 90 degrees. And then here you just add 0 to 90, and then over here, because we're rolling in the y-axis, you just go to your y-axis, y-source axis, and you change it to the z-axis, so it's targeting the z-axis. And then you just add 0, 90 again. Right? And then you do the same for the rest. It's just, you know, the other ones have different ones. So here, we're rotating in the positive y, but we're going to rotate in the negative x for the actual control bone, right? So just make sure you map them correctly, and then once you're done, you have this. It's pretty good. This is a system used in most Minecraft rigs as well, so you can also just copy the other stuff. So let's go back. Oops. Okay. All right. So yeah, again, if you have any questions, just make sure you just let me know, and I'll let you know how I did it. So moving on, we're gonna try and transfer this rig into this, like I said. So the first thing I want to do is, since everything is in this collection, I'm gonna move this collection. I'm gonna move this out of the collection actually. I'm just going to call this arm rig, and I'm gonna duplicate it. Ooh. Alright, and then we have all of these other things which I'm gonna just delete because I don't need them. Okay. I'm gonna delete the arm proportions. I'm gonna put the leg in, stand in for that. Should I hide all of these lattices for now because I don't need them at the moment. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna reveal all the bones because we need to rescale all of the bones by however much this is. And I should probably do some math first. What is the difference in their heights? So if I just go and check vertex, here I can see easy value. It's currently this number. I'm gonna copy that. And then here we have this number 1.5 blah 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 blah. We're just gonna minus so we can see this is the difference, 0.058429. Copy that, undo, and then we just do oh wait, no. I don't do that. I just do I take this number, and then I do this number divided by the other number, which will give me a fraction, which I will take, and then I go back. Right. So we got it. Got what I wanted. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scale all of the bones to match that. So let's go and turn on every single bone. Alright, so all of these bones are on. These are all control bones, so I don't really need them. I'm gonna move them to the side. These bones are the actual bones that do the deformation. Hello, Cheese. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing fine. I'm a little sick today, but that doesn't stop me from streaming. We're doing some rigging today. I've already explained what this rig is in the first like 10 minutes, so if you want to do a quick recap of that, you can. But otherwise, do enjoy this day. So, I have the fraction which I need to scale it by, so all I need to do is S, Z, and then oops. There we go, because it has an M in it. Right, so I'm scaling this by 0.62 basically. Yep. And then I just enter, and now this is the same length as this limb. But, of course, a lot of the things got broken because of stretch to constraints. So we're just going to quickly go and reset some of these stretch to constraints till they go all the way back up. Okay, and then we also have these stretch to constraints. Okay, and this one last. Okay, so now this should... Sorry. This is the FK actually. Wait. Oh yeah, because I turned everything on. We turn this off. Now this should be fine. Everything else should be working here. Need to make sure overall buffer is off. I need to make sure the IK system is on, because the IK system should be on. Turn off the inbones, turn on the twist, and right, so this is working. It's just not connected to the rig. So how do we connect it to the rig? We're going to look at this. Right, so notice how the lattice is kind of broken now. That's because we haven't scaled the lattice as well. We need to scale the lattice too. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. The lattice. Now the lattice is scaled. We're just going to give you a lattice modifier. And you're going to look towards, I think, OG, if I'm not wrong. Specifically OG 002. Yep. Gonna add subdivisions. And now, well, I think that's about it. We have finished the rig trial. Oh, I noticed you're slightly off center. Well, actually, it's not your fault, is it? Yeah, you are slightly off center. No, you're not off center. This is off center. I'm confused, actually. Wait. Ooh, this is interesting. It is off center. Oh, okay. Well, I'll fix that by... Oh, but I'm not supposed to change this, actually. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this. It's gonna origin the 2D cursor. And now we can line this up. So I'm gonna do this, and then we line this up here. Perfect. So now this is lined up perfectly. This works. Perfect. Now you just need to make sure all of the features work. So top ER does work. We have a bit of an issue here because we don't have enough subdivisions. So I'm just gonna add a subdivision on the bottom and then a subdivision on the top. Two subdivisions. The first one will be simple. The bottom one will be Cannibal Clark. Cannibal Clark is for smoothing. Simple is for accuracy. So we have the accuracy from simple, and then we have the smoothing from Cannibal Clark. And there we go. So we got it. So the top extension works fine. Works beautifully. Manual SNS also works beautifully. No issues here. Make sure the rigid roll works. So rigid does work perfectly, and then we turn on rigid roll to see if the rigid roll works. Yep, that works perfectly. Let's turn on stop stretch to see if that works. That works fine. Turn off bottom stretch. That works fine. Make sure bottom extension retraction feature works. Yep. Squash and stretch works too. And finally, let's see if auto SNS is working. It is working. Nice. FK switch. Ooh, here's an issue. FK switch. Okay, yeah, here. We haven't properly did the FK bendy bone roll. Not roll, but... There we go. There we go. You have not been fully stretched out, so there we go. I have a question. What is the diffuse node used for? Okay, good question. So let me just quickly hide this. I need to test this real quick before I get to your question. There you go. FK mode works like a charm. And then we also have the ankle. This is now the ankle, not the wrist. Okay, cool. It works. So, Keith's question is, what is the use of a diffuse node? So let's add in a cube. Let's also add in a plane. Cube on top of the plane. And let's just see the difference between a diffuse node and a BSDF node. GPU compute, so it'll crash my system. I also need to save this before anything crazy. So let's go to the shader editor and add a new thing. This is currently the principal BSDF. I'm going to turn this back to AGX because I like AGX. And we're going to use a little bit of world opacity, and then we're going to use mostly a sun. Here we have a sun node. We're going to add scene lights as our thing. So this is the principal BSDF node currently we're using. Let's give both of these guys the principal BSDF node. If I were to switch this to the diffuse BSDF, and I plug it in, what do you notice? Absolutely no difference, right? There's no difference here. The principal BSDF by default is the diffuse BSDF. They're both the same thing. The only difference is the principal BSDF is like every shader combined, because you have transparency, you have glossiness, you have subsurface scattering, right? Because if you look over here, you can search for glossy BSDF, and we're going to connect these together. So this is what it looks like to be glossy. If I just turn on metallic to maximum, they are the same thing. Literally the same thing. If I take a not transparent, let's take a subsurface scattering node, and I turn on my subsurface scattering settings, and then you compare these together, they are literally the same thing. Notice that they're the same thing. Your question shouldn't be, what's the diffuse node used for? Your question should be, well, there should be a question here. The principal BSDF node is just every single node combined into one. Right, so the diffuse node is used whenever you have a diffuse object, which is like, a normal object. Right, so when you have no changes to your principal BSDF, you use a diffuse node. Now, why do you need all of these other nodes when the principal BSDF can do all the work for you? Probably because it's a bit more computationally heavy, I'm assuming. Right? So yeah, that's all I can say really. Like all of these things that you see here, subsurface, here's the diffuse setting as well, right? So by default, all of these are off, right? So it usually just uses the diffuse setting, and then you can add specular as well. I don't think diffuse has specular, so you have to add a specular. Can I add a specular? I can't actually add. So specular is a special thing actually. I'm not really sure how you can get specular on diffuse by default, but I guess you can. You have transmission. I'm not actually sure what transmission is. Let's find out what that is. It's okay, transmission is glass. If I just take a glass BSDF, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing, right? No, it's not the same thing. It's slightly different. I'm not sure what that is. But it does look good. It looks like frosted glass. Pretty nice. We have coat, which adds a nice reflective surface onto it. Nice. Increasing the roughness removes the reflectiveness of it. It changes the IOR, changes how the surface reflects. And we can also change the tint, which is very nice, but that just changes the whole thing. So sheen. Okay, what's sheen do? Don't know what that does. What if I change the tint to very red and I add a sheen? Okay, so it's literally just like a tint over your thing. Cool. And then emission, you know what emission does. It just makes something bright. Thin film, I think this is for like oil spill kind of stuff. So the larger this is, you probably need to make it let's put an ocean modifier on this. Can you see it here? I can barely see it. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is for like oil bubbles and stuff. Anyway, I don't need that, so I'm gonna go back to my rigging thingamabob. All of this works pretty well as well. Now the problem is I actually forgot about this. I have to name this properly before I do anything because I saw that there were a few bones that weren't named properly here. So I'm going to go in armrig, make sure I hide the text, hide the BS sphere, as well as I don't need to hide the lattices, but I could at least remove these unused lattices. Okay, I'm gonna call this arm.l armlat.l. I'm gonna call this deform armlat buffer.l. This is combining the volume armlat volume.l. And the reason we have three lattices here are because, so this one is the main lattice that deforms the mesh, but it's following the lattice deformations of both this one and this one. So this one is the squash and stretch. So when I change the manual SNS here, right? You see how it squashes and stretches. Ooh, I noticed something. Ooh, this is interesting. Why does this happen? Oh, wait, because obviously we have two rigs. My bad. Move this down to like right there we go, so we can't see it. Anyway, so the manual SSS is controlled by one specific lattice, and then the bending is controlled by another lattice, and then one lattice just kind of combines both of them together into one, which makes it easier for the mesh. Okay, so with that done, let me just make sure I have all of these ready. So here is all of stuff. We have bone 001, which does not have a bone 003. What is this? I'm assuming this is part of, yeah, it's part of the hidden. Bone 003 is this. Okay, so we're gonna have to rename these properly. So this is going to be arm dot, do I put dot for these stuff? Yeah, arm dot roll dot back dot l. Copy this, all this front, not back. See, this is the left side, this would be the right side. Should call it in and out, but don't. And this is left. So we have named that properly, which is great. There's still bone 001, which I need to find out. Bone 001, and then we also have the properties bone. And then this, okay, this is called arm.vis.l or arm. Okay. Properties bone is not named properly, so prop, call this prop.l. Okay. I can't touch that because you're not supposed to touch that. And make sure all the arms are ready. Wrist roller. Arm dot. It has to be arm dot. I'm going to mass change it. Bot E. Okay, so all of these just need an arm dot. Okay, so now let's just change a bit of these shapes. We're gonna add a plane. This is all, delete only the face, and then we're gonna call this BS underscore plane or dash plane. So here we're gonna make sure you have that as the shape key. Okay, and now when you scale this up, 2. That's when we get that. We're gonna add a. Ooh, actually, I have to make a panel shape, don't I? Okay, let's make a panel shape. I'm gonna duplicate, put this here in the center. And we're gonna call this arm.panel.l. So I need to make a. I need to make some. Make a rough outline for this. So we're gonna make it about this size. I think is good. We're gonna call this BS panel. So when I go here and I just add BS panel, do not affect that. Turn the center again. Yep. Okay, we're gonna add another small thing here. I'm gonna place this in this quadrant, place this in this quadrant. This is what it looks like. So we're just going to so now I just need to put this here. Size is by 2, so we know the max is there. Okay, I need to put limit scales on these. Limit scale. Minimum will be 1, maximum will be 2, and then we do the same here. Boop. So now when I scale this up, it goes up to the maximum, doesn't go over the maximum. Cool. Okay, now that I notice, we don't really need it to be this big, so I'm just gonna move this up to here, and then we're gonna move it back as well. I think about there is fine, and then we just move this here, this here. Okay, and then top ER, this is also getting scaled. But this can scale to like infinity, basically. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you guys. We're gonna put the properties bone over here. Like this. And then I would have to move you guys inside there. Okay. And then all of these bones will get their own scale thing. So some stretch, we're gonna do not panel, we're gonna do plane. Boom. So now here, I need to make sure these are equally spaced. Yep. Now when I scale this, you can see this is the SNS. This is stretch. So this is the maximum is 2, right? So all of these are 2 maximum. So we can use the same shape for these. Cool. And now we can go, here's the max, the min. And I can also move these back because they didn't use as much as I expected. And the properties is just the properties, so not that big. This makes no sense. Genuinely, how did you make the withered effect? Oh, okay, cool. That's a very good question. Let me explain this to you. So, the withered effect, I'm just gonna make sure, let me get my graphics tablet. Okay, can you still hear me? Because I moved my microphone a little bit farther to make way for my graphics tablet. If you can't hear me, just type it in chat and I'll move my... I'll increase my mic volume so you can hear me better. But I think you should be able to hear me. I can hear it good. Right, so I'm just gonna make sure we're on the same page, but the withering effect, or the withered effect, and I'm assuming you're talking about the one in my series, it's the kind of crazy fractal looking arm effect here, right? That looks kind of like scars, and it has like the glowing bits as well, right? I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about, and it fades. Okay, cool. So you want to know how to make those? I don't remember exactly how I made it, because obviously that's the kind of stuff you only make once and then you just copy paste it on other things, but let's try and make it. I'll show you the basics of what you need to make that thing. So let's first start with a cube. There's two things you need. You need the object, and then you also need an empty. The reason an empty is important is because you need some way to control the location of this effect. So let's go into shader nodes, and we're going to go into material view. I'm going to make this a little bit thinner so we can see it like propagate through there we go. Okay, so I make this a little thin so we can see it propagate. Okay, so we're gonna add a new texture node. We're gonna work with pure color here, so none of the BSDFs are gonna be used. We're going to start with a simple Voronoi texture. So when I put a Voronoi texture in, I put the distance. What I get is this thing. Also, I need to make sure I use the correct vector. So I'm gonna go mapping. Sorry, is it mapping? Not mapping. Sorry, texture coordinate. Right, I'm gonna use object. And we're specifically going to be using this empty object. So now we can control the location of this texture, right? So it's very important. So if you notice, this is what a Voronoi texture looks like. I'm not going to explain what a Voronoi texture is. It's a type of noise texture, but the math is different, so you get different patterns, right? So I'm going to use distance to edge, and this is where you get these straight line edges, right, from my part. If you increase the detail, you can add sort of extra lines protruding outwards, right? So this is like the base pattern you're seeing when I do my effect. Now, once you have this, if you put a color ramp here and you slam a constant constraint on it, and you move this around, you can see how they become like this, right? I'm just gonna flip it around so we see the lines is white and then the things is black. So you can already see where the pattern is coming from, right? This almost looks like a giraffe's spots, right? Looks like a giraffe. So this is the base pattern. I like to play around with the roughness, with the detail? Yeah, play around with detail and stuff to make it look a little bit better. I'm gonna add maybe power. I think power would work. Yeah, I'll just slow down a little bit. So texture coordinate into a Voronoi texture. Change the feature output to distance to edge, and then use a constant color ramp to remove the gradient. That's what I did here. Okay, I'm noticing detail is not what I want. Connecting Voronoi to the output is giving you is the black mesh. I'm assuming you need to change your scale. Make sure you put your texture cord. Okay, make sure you put your empty onto your object, and then make sure your texture coordinate is set to empty. Also, make sure you have lights, because it could be that you're at a really small point, like this, so you can't exactly see your thing. So yeah, you can also try scaling your empty down as well, to lower the scale or to increase the scale. Anyway, let's move this back to normal. Here's the effect I have. Again, we can do this. I want to add a little bit more pronounced extra lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the Voronoi texture. Add a mix color. I'm going to do an add node. Alright, we're going to connect this here, and then this. Actually, I want to change the pattern here. So we're going to change the pattern, add a little bit of detail. And I actually want to try find out the in between. I'm gonna use let's use a compare math node here, because I want to try to target those smaller things. Epsilon, and then we change the value. It's not really working as expected, but it's okay. We're gonna make this slightly bigger and bring the color back in. Okay, we're gonna make this bigger, but then we're gonna make the actual line slightly smaller. Right, so here we have more. Concurrency doesn't really do anything but add more of those spiky things. I don't want that, so I'm going to actually remove it so it's completely straight. So here, I add this with the original one. So this is going to be added with this, and then we get this. I also have to make sure it's clamped so that it goes like this. Yep. I can also make it so... I can also make it so that this part is actually slightly less bright. So we have like this pattern, right? So this is a cool pattern. All cool and nice. But how do I make it fade out? How do I make it so that we have a skin portion and we have this portion? The way you do that is you're going to need a we're gonna use the texture coordinate. We're gonna need a gradient that somehow tells Blender, hey, there's a gradient coming from here to here, so I want you to fade it out as we go to the right. Okay. The way you do that is we're gonna connect this back to object, and you can already see there's a gradient here, but it's a gradient of different colors. So we're gonna use separate XYZ and find out which direction is that direction. There we go, found it. It's Z. Make sure your thing is lined up, obviously, or else it won't work. We're gonna use a map range node, so we can just change the range to from a maximum of. Just lower this because I want to. You know what? No, it's easier for you guys if I just use the color ramp. You guys don't really understand the map too well. We'll just use a color ramp. And we're just gonna slide this closer inwards. So now we have. Oh, actually, we can do this as well. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now we have the cutoff. This is the cutoff. So what you would think you would do is, I guess, to add a multiply map node here. So just change this to multiply. Because remember, anything multiplied by 0 becomes 0. So this is what we get. The problem is, notice that we actually would want the white parts to be on the left and not on the right. So we have to switch this. Here, I'm just going to switch the color from black to white. Oop. Oh, actually, no, sorry, not that. This one, I switched to black to white. There we go. We have this, right? But you kind of lose the sharpness on the edge, right? So you need another color ramp at the edge, and you have to make this constant so that you can maintain the sharpness. Now the problem here is that the sharpness also. I need to make this go back to. Right. So now the next issue is the sharpness is a little like it's a straight line. It's a straight line, and that's a problem. So what I want to do is I want to distort this texture coordinate so that it's not a straight line. We're going to use a linear light mix node. We're going to put the Voronoi texture in. Lower the factor, because the factor affects it quite a bit. It's not working as expected. We're going to use a noise texture. We're going to use a good old noise texture so that it's not connected to the original one. We're going to use color for this. Just going to add a little factor, and okay, already we're getting some nice effects. Alright, see that? You can see kind of bleeding in. I'm gonna put this on. Oop. So it's a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. This is an okay texture. I might change it back to Voronoi, so we have our own custom Voronoi. Let's use F1 color here. Yeah, so these are like, if you see this in terms of what it actually is, it's gonna be this, right? So I'm just gonna add a little bit more detail so we have a bit of that. I can turn off the randomness to make it pixelated. Let's see what pixelated looks like. Now, pixelated is not good, so we just need to make it sharper. Add a bit more detail is not really useful, so I'm gonna keep on going. Okay, and yeah, so now we just have like, we can have the edge breaking up. What I don't like, however, is that it's very localized in this strip. I want it to be a bit more larger, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a mapping node. So I'm just gonna put this here. The mapping node, I'm just gonna scale it in the Z. Oops, what's happening here? It's this one specifically. Oh, it's this one. Okay, my bad. It was this button. Let's move this a bit forward, and then we just lower this a little bit so it's like this. I think it's okay. Not perfect, but it is good enough. Okay, so we start off with this. I think this is okay. Is this what I actually wanted? I think so. Whatever. This is just me remembering how to do it. So I'll show you how I actually did it later when I remember how to do it. So once we have this, we can now apply this on top of a mesh. So I'm gonna use a RGB color node. So here I'm just gonna use a random skin color. Right. So here's the skin color. We're gonna use a color mix. Bam, and we're gonna put this on top of it. So we're just gonna use a add node. Yep. So when you add this, you get this. So now the next thing I want to do is I want the dark parts, right? So first I'm just going to change the color actually, so that I'm going to put this over in the factor and I'm just going to change this to like a red color. So now we have this. I'm also going to change it from add to mix so that we actually see the red. And also, why is this like really desaturated? I don't like that desaturated look. Ooh. There we go, much better. Right, so here we have the red cracks, you can say. Once you have the red cracks, we're gonna move on to the black parts. So if I look back here, oh sorry, not this one. We're looking at Voronoi texture, this one, right? Is it this one? This one, I think. Right here. So we want this as our like dark parts. Okay, so what I can do is I think I can add a Voronoi texture. No, I can't. Yeah, I can add a Voronoi texture. Here, put this on the distance. Or no, it's not supposed to be that. It's just supposed to be dark. So here, if I add a ramp like this, we'll just make it constant. It's not exactly what I'm expecting here. We get this, but we have, you know what, I think it's can you change the pattern? There we go. Right, so we'll use this pattern instead. This is a much better pattern. Yeah, whatever. We'll use that, and we're gonna add Alright, we're gonna use this as mix. Put this here, make it black, and we flip the colors. Alright, so this is, you know, a basic idea of what it's gonna look like. It's not exactly the same one, but this is what you do. And then something else extra you can do is you can turn this into ease. Alright, and then you change this as well to ease, or like, you know, anything that's not constant, so you can get a little bit of these variations. In addition to that, here's a cool thing you can do. Duplicate, move this here, and then you can change color so that the brightest parts are red and then the darkest part could be another color. Let's make the brightest parts red, the darkest parts red, and then the brightest parts are really bright white. It's 5. And now we have a glowing effect. Alright, here's another thing. The shape is really up to how well you can like randomize your things, right? This is what I have currently. I change this to with F1. We get any cool things here. Ooh, this is a cool effect. Yeah, so yeah, again, it's all about, you know, how creative you can be with your noise textures. I'm just gonna save this and I'm gonna open up an actual scene with that. So I'm gonna go 6.1 and I'll show you how I actually did it, while I remind myself how I actually did it as well. Right. Currently off. I think I still should have it, no? I don't have it, so it's not here. Does he have it on him? No, he does not. We're gonna go back to scene 6.3. Oh, 6.2 is fine as well. Okay, so here he does have it, I think. Oh, wrong. Not this. Yeah, right. See that his arm is not the same. So here, I'm gonna go to shader editor. And here. So this is the original effect. Let's break it down a little. But the actual effect is over here. These two nodes give the actual effect. So we're gonna start off with, yeah. I'll use the length node. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Alright, let's move this aside. Why does it not work at the moment? Because I don't have this thing. This thing is not nearby. Where is this? Oh no, it's just not affecting it for now. That's a little weird. There it is. Okay, so it is affecting. It's just we have. Oh, here we go. Animate this part. Okay. Now we can see what the actual effect is here. Okay, so let's break this down. I'm gonna look for a Voronoi texture because that's the main thing. Or no, we don't actually have Voronoi. We just have noise, don't we? Here's a noise texture. Control F Voronoi texture. Okay, we do have a Voronoi texture right here. Take a group output, and let's find out what it looks like 1.1. I'm gonna make sure everything has this. Yep. So everything has this thing. So now we can just see. We start off with just this UV, or sorry, this texture coordinate. Okay. So we have this texture coordinate. We have a few lengths. So what length does is it just changes the color mapping into a black and white image that becomes darker the closer you are to the origin and brighter the farther away you are from, you know, the origin of the object. Now we have two of these. One of them goes to this color ramp, and this is just inverting it so that it's white when it's close and it's black when it's farther away. Once we're done with that, we're gonna put this through a mapping node, and what this does is it scales the object coordinate. So right now the object coordinate says this is 0 0. You can say that this point here is 0 0, and then, you know, you go over here, it's going to be like 1 1. We go here, also it's 3D, right? So it's going to be like this. Here maybe it's like 1 1.5, 0.3, you know, depends on like the 3D space, right? So what I'm doing here with this mapping node is I'm telling Blender, hey, whatever point is here, just multiply it by the value of this color ramp at that position. So if we look at the color ramp at that position, you can see it's not completely white, because here is completely white. Here is probably like a 0.99 value, right? And you know how it's like becoming smaller as you go farther away. So I'm telling Blender, hey, make sure you just recalculate these coordinate values over here by multiplying it by 0.99. Over here might be like 0.97, and here it's like 1, so you just multiply by 1, doesn't change it. And it's just, you know, this is all like kind of distort and transform the coordinate system before it enters into the Voronoi texture. Because once it enters into the Voronoi texture, it's going to look like this, right? And if I were just to delete, if I were to remove this scale feature, right, you can see how it kind of stretches outwards, right? You can see the difference here, right? So over here, it's not stretching. So just take a look at that. It's not really stretching a lot compared to here, where it's stretching a lot. Like that's a very big stretch, right? So now you can copy these settings. We have 4D. The only reason I have 4D is because I want to be able to animate it with a W variable. Normally you can animate it any other way, but you know, I like using W. So this is just for animating it. So if I were just to play this around, right, you can see that it moves. Yeah, so it moves, and then the driver I'm using for this is I'm just gonna add so you guys can see this is the function inside here, and what it's saying is it basically add 1 every 4 frames, right? So it's floor frame divided by 4. So frame is basically literally what frame are you on. We divide it by 4, and then whenever it changes from one number to another whole number, that's when it actually updates. So that's a little bit of math for you. So right now it kind of goes like this, right? So it goes the frame goes 1, 2, 3, 4, but the actual value will stay 1 until it hits 5, and then it will go 2, because when you divide all of these by 4, what do you get? You get 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and then you get 1. Right? When it changes from 0 to 1, that's when you get this. Right? Anyway, it basically just like rounds up all decimal points, so you don't see any animation in between the 4 frames. Okay, moving on. Once you have the Voronoi texture, we have this this thing. We're mixing it, or sorry, we're adding it with this, and let's just see what this is. Right. So you can clearly see that I'm basically just adding white to the right side, or the farther away it is, the more white it becomes. That's what this is. And if I change the to minimum, maximum, I can make the dark parts go outwards. Okay, so once I make the dark parts go outwards, I have a constant color ramp here. There we go. That's how I got the pattern, right? Okay. So again, the map range. I didn't explain the map range yet. Then what the map range does is it basically gives me another, you know. Okay, so first of all, we use length, right? And length basically, again, it gives you literally the distance between any point on this mesh to the origin of your texture coordinate object. So since our object here, this is 0, 0, which is black, and then this will be, you know, again, like 1 something, blah, blah, blah. You get me, right? And then once I use a map range node, what map range node does is it basically takes all of these values. So this is 0, 0, and then this is 1, 1. And it's just gonna change it a little bit so that I want that's over here. You can ignore the from min and from max because that's not really important. What you need to look at is 2 minimum and 2 maximum. So it's basically taking whatever value here, which is 0, right? So here it's 0. I'm just telling, hey, can you make this 0 into negative 0.14? So it just remaps it. So if we go from 1 to 2, and we have a number line, right? So we have 1.1, 1.2, blah, blah, blah. And I remap this to 0 to 2. What's happening is the length stays the same, 0 all the way to 2. It's just all of these numbers. We have more numbers in the middle now because we have 0, 1.1 gets changed into like 0.5, right? And this kind of cascades downwards. So it's basically stretching numbers, right? It's stretching a coordinate system. So, and using this, I'm able to make this kind of pattern. I'm able to control the gradient. And adding this into here gives me this effect where I can make these like, you know, shard thing, or like these veins more pronounced, right? So like right here, this is white, nothing is happening, right? But then when I lower it, you can start seeing the veins, and once it hits like this black color, that's when it actually pops up. Because if we look over here, if I go over here, you see nothing, and then when I slowly lower it, then you start seeing, right? When it's black, that's when it appears. Okay, after that, once we're done with that, that becomes our mix factor. So this is like telling Blender, hey, when it's white, you use one shader. When it's black, you use the other shader. So right now, the white shader right now is going to be the actual skin shader. So, you know, with all the subsurface scattering and all that stuff, right? And then the black will be the withering shader. Now, let's continue on to the withering shader, right? So we take this result and we put it through another color ramp. Now, the reason we put this through another color ramp is because, notice this, right? I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. What's the difference? The difference is the second color ramp is much more tighter. Now, the reason it's tighter is because, let's say we have a spike here, right? So this is one of the spike, this is your skin color, and then this is your shader edit, your wither shader. The reason we have second spike that's slightly smaller is because we want this one to be black, and then this one to be like red or green or colored or anything, right? So that's why we need these two levels. Okay. Now, notice what I do here. I take the object again, I put it through an add. This one is actually doesn't really do anything, so I'm just gonna remove it. And we put it through a noise texture. This is what the noise texture is. It's literally just a noise texture, basic ass noise texture. Put it through a color ramp, basic ass color ramp. It just makes it a bit more contrasty. And then we put it through a multiply. Now, what does the multiply do? It adds this. Okay, I'll just make sure everybody understands. The actual mask is over here. I'm just gonna outline the mask for you so you guys can see the difference. This is the mask. Notice how we kind of left out all of the space, right? That space is now being filled by the noise texture. And this gives it a little bit of roughness. You can completely forget everything outside here because none of this will be shown because of this, right? All of this is white. All of the white parts won't be shown. Only the black parts will be shown for the withering shader. So now we have this. Notice how here we have a, and then here we have like this sliver of white. You can change the color of this white now using this. Boom. Right? And then I changed the color using iteration. So I made it green, obviously. And I used it to drive an emission. So this is the emission to make it glow a little bit. And then finally, at the very end, all of the white parts, all of the black parts use this. So then when you bind them together, this is what you get. Notice how you don't see the relation because it's purely just down. Right? And that works. The way I animate, we start off with nothing. And then when we go lower, it just appears. Right, and that's how we. So I'm just gonna put this up for you guys if you guys anyway wants to copy it, but you can always just check it from the. You can check it from my files anyway. I'm just gonna rearrange it so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. Okay, and then if you guys want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot right now. I'll close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're done. So yeah, that is how I made the withering effect. Hopefully that explains all of your doubts. You can see it's a little bit different from this, so I definitely remembered it wrong. Anyway, we're back to this. My back hurts a little bit because I was playing football, and I go to the gym for cardio, but apparently football is a full body sport, so my whole body is kind of dying right now. So anyway, we're going back to making our bone shapes. So this one kind of goes up to 2 only. Yeah, it goes to 2 as well. So we're just going to add another here. So it goes to 2. Okay, and we're just gonna make this a little bit smaller. So now we have the panel. I'm gonna hide this. Go in, and now we have the properties panel. We just need to make sure that all of these bones are paired to the property panel. And then the property panel, which is all the way over here for some reason. I'm gonna move this a bit closer. Then we're gonna reveal the property thing again. We're just gonna move. Oops. Like this. Okay, and we just move this away. And here we go. So now we have the properties panel. Okay, but what we need to do is to add text. I'm gonna rewind a bit, alright. I'm trying to make this thing where it spreads from the eyes, and hopefully I'll have to do the scale. I'll have to do the scale depth. We could probably do it, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna add a text. I'm gonna go ER. Sorry, ER. Okay, here. And we're gonna go wrench. Okay, and then I just change these into meshes, join them with this. Doesn't really work. What should I do here? Honestly, I'm overthinking this. Parent it to this bone. That way it moves with the bone. Yes. I don't like how that's the center point though. I want to make it here. Okay, and then I just move down the z-axis. Nope, not the z-axis, the y-axis. There we go. Okay. We have the panel ready. Like this. If I wanna... I'll set to make this not selectable. I don't know how to do that though. Oh, here we go. Not selectable. So now I can't select the bone. Is there a shortcut for this? Nope. Okay. I don't want to make it selectable again. Okay. And then I'm just going to change the color because it's currently very similar color. Make it orange. There we go. Does have a max of 3? I don't need max of 3. I'm just gonna update my client. Scale up. We can't scale down because we need to turn the minimum off. Okay, and then I can now turn off those unselectable. There we go, everything works pretty good. That turns off the thing. Okay, now that this works, I'm gonna delete the leg thing again because I need to redo the leg rig. So delete it. And I just also need to double check to see if everything is working as expected. And we have more issues. Panel. Technical again. Right, so I'm just gonna move this all down here. Get up to the right. The properties panel is a little annoying. I'm gonna put my thing there. Did I? Nah. Oh, it's not. Wait, no. Can't I just use the text that's already here? Widgets. That's right, so this one. So I want to use a different font. Yep. So you can call this prop. Turn off the widgets. Now we have the properties button. We're gonna move this down. Move it up. Not selectable anymore. If I want to make it selectable, I can. Cool. Alright, my room's getting a little cold. I'm gonna turn off the AC. Okay. All good. Make sure. Ooh, I remembered. Backbone systems.l. All of these need to have a .l on them. Oops. Okay. Oh. All right, everything is working well. I think we are finally ready to transfer the rig. PS panels, bone shape panels. So I'm gonna bone shape to go out, so I don't accidentally duplicate them. Perfect. Okay. Duplicate. Leg rig. Extra legs. Delete this. panel text leg.l, panel text arm.right. Okay, now you need to remember the height difference. Copy and then undo. Okay, and now we're going to go change the heights of these. Boom. Remember to star everything. What? Boom. Right, and we also affected the bone scales, which is a little annoying, so I'm gonna have to turn that off. Okay. This one, I'm going to size Z by... Oh, wait, can I can't size it by that. Okay, that's a little annoying. Okay, I at least can note the position right here. There we go. Change this from arm rig to leg rig. And need to... Ooh. Make sure I rename all of these to the correct thing. I'm gonna batch rename them. Find replace arm as leg. And then again, 0.001 as nothing. So nothing here. Right, everything is working. The lattices are currently broken because we haven't resized the bone in the perfect position. So I'm gonna turn everything off. I'm gonna look at the stretch system, the overall system, as well as the tweak system, which is inside hidden. Right, first things first, reset your stretch. Reset. Ooh, why is it not working? Let me enable everything first. Ooh, I forgot to do this. Wait, no, I didn't. I just forgot to do this one. There we go. Now it's done. So we're just gonna go through all of these bones and reset their original lengths. Okay, hide these bones. This is wrong. Whoa. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay, show me stretcher. Stretch. Actually, it's all in the hidden one, though. I think I've accidentally moved one of the things down. I'm looking at this end handle, where it's positioned. They're positioned here. I think I need to... No, I don't need to do anything. Oh, this is mid-top, actually. So yeah, you are positioned in the wrong position. You're positioned in the wrong place, but that's because you are parented with this one, and I just need to change this one. Buffer bones. Using a copy transform. Ooh, okay. I didn't size these ones down. Okay, 0.62 basically. 0.62. You are still pointing at the wrong bone. No, this is the correct position. What are you on about? Oh, this is not the correct position. Mid top, and then we have top here, no? The bendy bone is looking at the wrong direction. Yeah. I'm very confused here. Okay. I have an idea of what the issue is. You're in position, you're in position. You're all in position, actually. Has to be structure BB then. Oh, this one didn't get scaled. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Right. So this 162. There we go. Are we good now? Almost. We're almost good. There's still one more bone that's problematic, and I think it's this one. Yeah. 162. Now we're good. Okay. Think that it should be all. Okay. Leg lattice buffer. Ooh, this is interesting. If I scale this bone, which I probably shouldn't be, that happens. This will never be scaled, so limit scale of 1. Okay, and I'm not even supposed to be able to select it, so. Yep. Hello, Gplay. Welcome to the stream. Oh wait, one second, guys. Something has happened. I need to do something really quick. Open up my WhatsApp. Just need to quickly sign up for this thing. Register. And then I need this number. Let me zoom in. Just need to type this number. Okay. Copy the error code and send it Okay, we're back. Back to the game. Back to the job. What else do I need to test? Is all good? I have a limit skill constraint. Just make sure you do. Okay. I can send the preview for you. Oh yeah, sure. Feel free. Okay. Let's take a look at this. The name of the armature is arm.l, so we're gonna do leg.l now. And then before we do anything else, I need to make sure I rename everything. Oh, shoot, I forgot to rename these as well. It's okay. I'm gonna go into bone. No, is it bones? Sorry, armature. And then make sure I see everything. Alt H to hide, to unhide. And we are going to rename arm to leg. And we're going to change that to bones. Okay. Should be fine now. I don't want this to be selectable either, so now we have an arm rig, and then we have feel sick. All right, so arm rig and leg rig. So let me just move the arm rig. Now, the annoying part is, how am I going to flip this? And also, can I join them together is the question. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I forgot to check if the rigid switches work or not. It does not, because this is not positioned properly. There you go. What else? What happened here? Ooh. The drivers are not working as expected because it's a different mesh. It's a different mesh, so obviously it won't work. Oh, okay. So I have to fix the driver. I have to fix the shape keys. I think it's a 70 degrees though, right? Yeah, approximately so. Here nothing has a thing. Yeah, still about 70, so R70. Let's fix these issues. So it goes all the way up to here. Okay. Let's scale this up. Yeah, I positioned you properly. Okay, that's cool. So you need it in like a line, but is it possible to make it spread from a point? I don't understand what you're saying because since I used the length node, it spreads from a point. So yeah, not sure what you're trying to say here. Okay, that was not fast enough. This is interesting. Okay, okay. Like this, maybe? No? Didn't go fast enough. The issue. This is interesting. Like in all directions from one origin, like rather than dragging the empty to certain spots, could you make the marks appear from the eye and then extend? Wouldn't you? Why? I'm very confused. Why? Okay. I think you're misunderstanding how that spreads. Okay, back to this. So if you look here, and make everything this material. Okay, you have a small misunderstanding. You're not spreading the empty. The empty is just the origin point. The way mine works is you change this, remember? Right? If you change the empty, which is over here. Right, so if you change the empty, yeah, sure, you can make it spread like that, but it's not really spreading. This is the spread function when you lower the map range. Right, so if I were to, go out of here, take his body and his face as well, and give it the same material. Oops, like this, right? Same material as this. And then I spread this. It just spreads throughout his whole body. See? You don't scale the, shit, so much stuff here. You can also scale the empty to make it go throughout the whole body, but that's not the point. The point is you gotta use this number slider. Alright, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, need to figure out a solution to this. Yeah, like this is the issue, right? Right here. At 12 degrees, it's okay, but then when you keep on going further, it just completely stops. I can try hide this. Why does it stop working? It should be the same. The principle is the same, but it stops working. Why do you stop working? I'm gonna add another one. Driver, X driver. Okay, and then the center is here, right? So RZ70. Oh, this is really pissing me off. Because I just put this in here and okay. And then we go here and then we 0 here. Okay, cool. This is the right shape key. Oh, look at this. Look at it going in on itself. Why do you go in on yourself? That's the confusing part. Bounding box. Yeah, there. Okay, I think I have an idea of why that happened. It's probably just because there's a tiny sliver that's still... Yeah, there. Look at that. Not perfectly... Cool. Fixes that issue. That fixes one issue, but doesn't fix this issue. This issue is still very annoying. And I'm not sure what to do because I can't exactly move this farther down, can I? I can do that, but that doesn't help. This is so weird though. Because it works perfectly fine here. Why does it work perfectly fine here? But not here. Like, the only difference is this is slightly less... It's less tall, I guess. And also the P controllers are slightly differently positioned. Ooh, wait a minute. That's the issue. 162. Your pivot points are different. That would fix the issue, indeed, yeah. Go back here. R70. Oh, it's actually not 70 anymore. It's a different number. Oh, if I sent it to you solidly? Okay, I'll get to it in a second. I just need to quickly fix this. Oh, that was so annoying. It was because I didn't do it properly. So it's 50 now, so let's just convert radians into the 50 degrees to radians. Okay, I'm gonna change this. Edit driver, it's currently 0.875 divided by 873. Okay, and then we just on and then that's a no issue, right? Okay, maybe there's a bit of an issue. I should probably change it. Copy this driver, turn this driver off, put this on. Zero. Okay, and then we go up to here. By 0. Yeah, that fixes the issue. Perfect. Paste this driver, delete this driver, LR in, left, right, in. Now this should work for all directions. Oh, it doesn't actually work for all directions. Interesting. Oh yeah, because I didn't change it. I need to change everything. Yeah, not just this one. Edit driver. I just need to get 0.87 for all of these drivers. When I do it here, so everybody can see. Okay, and now this should work. It's not working exactly. -50 because of this. bit higher. Okay. Yep, that's good. Okay, let me go to the side. This one's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, cool. All right, now we can move on to some animations. I'm gonna watch this downloaded as well. All right, we're gonna okay. So basically, continue with that one. Let's take a look at this. These movie downloads. I think it's in download. Preview 2. There we go. So let's take a look at this. Oh shoot. Okay. This is the updated version from what he sent last week. Can I remove those notes? There we go. Okay, so we remove the notes. Alright, so it seems it's followed the same story. So guy jumps out of the portal. We have a cut here. I see you changed the cut slightly. I think I can't remember actually. I have the old one. Let's compare it with the old one as well, so you can see what the improvements were exactly. Right, we do have the old one. Okay, so I'm just gonna overlay them over each other to see differences. Okay, obviously slight camera differences. Okay, yeah, you did make a change here. So here you rotate the camera up, but then now the camera is kind of still. Very nice. It's not disorienting for some viewers. Okay, this is mostly the same though. Let me just lower the thing. Okay, so this is mostly the same animation wise. Camera is slightly different. What's the difference here? Here, the zoom. Okay, the camera moves a little bit, and the new one, it zooms in. I think that's a little bit better. I like that. That's okay. Zombie hand goes out. Okay. Ooh. Okay, wait. Let's compare that to the old one. Oh, it actually isn't that the same? Towards alpha, we can see the difference. Okay, so yeah, there's good. Your continuity is great here because in here you can see the sword already hit the thing. Much better. Yeah, that positioning, this positioning here is so much better. The new one, you're approaching the zombie. The old one, you're kind of nowhere near the zombie. That's great. I think that's the only changes, right? So changes were this camera movement here. We're changing the camera movement. I will say there's one more camera movement I would also change. This is okay. I get what you're trying to do here. You're trying to make him look surprised. In addition, I would add, if it was me, the thing I would add is you're only moving with the top body. So only this part of the character is moving. You know, I would not do that. I would do full body motion. So instead of, so this is what you're basically doing right now. Actually, let me just use a character to showcase this. Let's use Nera, an example, right? Turn off her extra stuff. Okay, I move this as well. She doesn't have this thing, so yeah, we'll just work with this. So currently, what you're doing here is, right? No, I thought the deck is getting in the way. Let's use this instead. Right, here's a good example. Right, so right now, he's like this. Okay, and then when he gets a prize, he does this. Right, like, oh my god. right? That's okay. It's not good enough. So what I would do is this. 1, 2, 3. Let's jump back. Oh, I didn't. Jump back like this. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Three, 1, 2, 3. And then make sure everything has constant because I animate in constant. So this is what I would do. Three. I would do this instead, you see? Full body movement. Instead of just... because this is what you did. Alright, so this versus this. It's a little bit more lively if your whole body moves, right? Anyway, and it's apparently you also change the zombie head on the floor as well. Check that out. I'm assuming zombie head on the floor part means this. Let's just see if there's any difference. Not that. Okay, so I'm assuming it's here at the very end. Okay. This is just an annoying thing to do when you're using rig, obviously, because you can see here that you're trying to counter, because the torso is moving, you're actually trying to change this as well. Oh, and also, I can tell that your pivot point is right here. So what I would do here, in this situation, when you have things like that, let's go into Rise again. So, let's say you want to detach your head from the body. How do you do it? Here's how you do it. Add an empty view. Right, move it here. What you can do here is when you're animating and you want your head to be disconnected from your body, you can add a bone constraint and set it to copy transformation. And then copy transform this. So now, whenever I animate the body, the bone is no longer connected to it. It's connected to this object. I change the scale of this object so we can slow it down. There we go. Now it's connected to this. Right? And well, another thing you can do is you can change the pivot point of this object by putting another object in the center of this. So I'm going to add a empty arrows. I'm going to scale this up a little bit. I'm just going to parent this to this. So now, oops. There we go. So now you can rotate it with the pivot point in the center. So let's say you're animating right now. We're just gonna put this here, and then we're gonna make sure that this is off. So you're animating your character, yeah, and then you want his head to just get cut clean off. All you need to do is increase this influence. Bam, it snaps to this, and then you can just reposition this wherever you want, and then this will make it a lot easier. And I would also recommend you should practice how to do manual. What's wrong here? I would also let you know that you should probably practice how to do rigid body animations on your own. So this is what it would look like, right? So let's say this head is dropping down on the ground. Oh, can you stay in fucking position? Thank you. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, going down, rotates like this. 1, 2, 3, rotates like this. Okay, too much rotation there. Yeah, so like, doing practice like this is very nice. Anyway, I like doing that though, so that's just me. Yeah, that's all I'd say. I don't think there's any other issues besides, okay, there's one camera issue actually. So there's this issue, right, where I would use the whole body to move. This is okay, and then this. Your camera moving to the right, I don't think that's useful. What you should do instead is, instead of panning, you should rotate. So in this case, what you did was, this is what you did with your camera. 3, you did this. I would do this instead. You get me? That's slightly different. You're rotating the camera instead of panning it. Instead of doing this, do this. And it might look better. Anyway, yeah, other than that, I think it's all good. And the zombie animation is fine too. This is nice. Everything is nice. The change in texture is good too. Yeah, good job. What time is it now? It's 11:33. I think I'll stop at 12 o'clock. I gotta do other stuff. But now the next thing I want to try is combining these two together. If I can combine them together and they still work the same way, that's great. If they don't work the same way, that's a little annoying. How do you position it? Why can't I Alt G? Huh? I am so confused. I'm actually very, very confused. Why is this in this position? Granted to the tail. Oh, I see why. That's why. Well, this is bad. I need you to be granted to the tweak top, actually, not the tail. There we go. So now when I move you like this, and then I change, it still goes back. There we go. Much better. Oh, that's annoying. If we do that, we get a... cyclic loop detect, cyclic dependency detected. Okay, so we have 3 cyclic loops. The one we're looking for is stretcher BB, bone segment. Okay, so at the top, it's legbot ER is driven by bone target driver. Okay, constraints via constraint stack. Cool. And then like panel is already done. Okay, so it's bot ER is parented to leg panel, which is parented to tweak top, which is parented to tweak buffer, which is parented to stretcher. So that causes a cyclic dependency, which should not exist now, because if I just turn this off. Okay, so that was a very annoying issue. That's actually really annoying. Alright, thanks a lot for the feedback. I feel it has already improved significantly with the changes. Yeah, the changes I made to presentation. Definitely, there's definitely some great changes. It flows a bit better with, especially the camera movements, because you don't have to be so erratic with the camera movements. Just sometimes even in a erratic situation, you can still use calm camera movements, right? Yeah. I'm assuming this also has that issue, right? Yeah, okay, so this does not have the issue. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna try and combine them together. So I'm gonna combine these two, and then we're gonna rename this as limb rig. Let's see if they still work. No, it stops working. So we have to go here. Oops. Ooh, interesting. Because you're still aiming for these two. So I'm gonna go outliner, leg rig. The deformation is looking for leg rig. Now we just go. Oh wait, we haven't combined them yet. Yeah, I'm gonna combine them. It's not working. This is interesting. Oh wait, it's because of the parents. Okay. If it's the parents, I can totally fix that. So before we do this, I have to unparent them. Keep transform. And then when I combine these still work. These will still work when I do this. Yeah, make sure all the parents are cleared. Does this just work as is? It's good. Oh, yeah. No. Ooh, okay. This. I need to change the names of these things. Oh, my back. One second, guys. I need to lay down for a bit. Holy, picking up stuff is. Oh. Okay. I'm ready to continue. Need to warm up properly next time because damn, I could not. I was starting to cramp yesterday when I was playing football. Okay, so it's my alarm. Okay, so what we need to do is we just need to rename all of these bones. I'll keep the properties. Nah. Arm. Oh, this is leg actually, right? Leg dot prop. hidden, keep hidden. So now, hopefully all of it still works. Yep, still works. Peak visibility. I think I'm gonna turn off the feature properties because you don't really need it. It's just bloat. Same thing here. Okay, now that I know combining them works, I need to try this other thing where I flip them. If flipping them also works, then I'm basically done, and I can just end the stream. This will be right. This will be .l. It's okay. Hide this one, and I'm just gonna take all of these, and I'm going to specifically wanted to make this center. Theoretically, this works. It's just everything is .l. I have to change it to .r. Cool. On twist panel like text, can I reveal? There we go. Size -1. Size -1. Okay, and then we just need to somehow flip this one. Wait, now the question is, what happens if I apply this? Oh dear. That's not good. One. Yeah, dude, it still kind of works at least, so it's not that bad. Okay. Alt. Oh, is that it? Wait, is that's literally it? If that's literally that, is actually so easy. I'm gonna give a thanks to patient. Had the opportunity to use your duplicate scale -1 tech. It's crazy useful. It's so good. Okay, I think I got it now. You got it? That's great to hear. Okay, I am done then. this off. Okay. Did you miss anything? Yeah, a little bit, but it's you can always rewind for that. I was just testing out a technique by Patient. He told me that you can flip drivers by duplicating the rig, scaling it by -1, applying the scale, and then resetting the rolls. And it worked. It worked near flawlessly. So I think it's great. Here. Okay, well, I think that is it for me today, because I did successfully transfer the rig without any issues. Leg lat default buffer, right? Yeah, so I managed to transfer the rig without any issues. And all I need to do now is just duplicate, add the chest bones. And I'm just basically done with this rig. I can toss the rest over to Entertainer, and he can do the rest. By the way, for the map range, which value do you usually adjust from minimum? Always adjust the from minimum. You want to go from minimum into a negative value, and that's what it'll start appearing. If you're using the exact same setup I'm using, yeah, you would go from minimum, then you go negative. This and open to 6.2. It's maybe double check, right? I know it is. I'm 100% sure it is negative. Yeah, to minimum. I'll give you a little bit of explanation on what exactly each of these values do. So we go to 3D editor or 3D viewport over here. We're gonna go to the shader editor, where everything is using the material. Let's just give a quick rundown on what this is, right? So I'm going to use this. So what the map does is we have a range here, right? I'm going to duplicate this, put this here. 1, 0. Right, currently it's saying take values between 0 and 1 and then remap it to 0 and 1. That does absolutely nothing, right? So yeah. Next, what you can do is you can say take the values between 0 and 1 and map it to 0 and 2. So what this basically does is we have a number line that goes from 0. I have my graphics tab, might as well just use it. From 0 all the way to 1, right? And it has about like an infinite amount of numbers. It has an infinite amount of numbers down here, right? When I use the map range, it basically uses the same number but just multiplies every single value by 2. Because I'm mapping it from 0 to 2 instead of 0 to 1. Now, what I'm doing in the other one was I'm mapping it from 0 and some number x to a variable. So we can say this variable is v, and then some constant y. So if we look at the thing, it was actually 5, and then this was 6. These two numbers don't really matter too much. It's this number that matters. Right, this number goes from negative infinity to positive infinity, but with the way we use it is we usually use it from 0. So v, if we go here, v is usually a number between 0 all the way to some like -10. And what it does is it changes this endpoint to be -10. So like, let's say we set our thing to -10. What happens to the midpoint? Let's say this is the midpoint, right? This is 2.5 naturally. What's the new midpoint of -10 to 5? The new midpoint becomes, if we say this is total 15, 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, minus 10, it's going to be like -3.5. Right? So we're basically shifting the color ramp by shifting this back point. It's the only difference is color ramp can only show 0 to 1 because black and white. Here we can go negative. So anyway, that's explanation. Let me show you visually how that works. Visually how that works is, so here's me trying to make it brighter. You notice how it gets more and more white? That's because the whiter you are, the more brighter you are. But of course, you can only get so much white from the screen, so at some point Blender stops getting more whiter, but the value still increases. You just clips at the brightest value. And then here is what happens when we change the to minimum value to a lower number. Right? So all of these are negative numbers actually. These are negative numbers. Only this straight black line is 0 because black is equal to 0. But you can't get any blacker than black. So everything else that's negative also shows black. Okay? And then if you use these, they kind of like dilute the area. So here's a great example, right? So let's do this. 0.5. No, 0.1. This work? No, 0.1 is too much. Let's do, yeah, 0.1 here. So here we have 0 here, then we have 1 about here. Okay. So this is 0, and then this is 1. This is radius 1, distance 1, this is distance 0. When we increase the to minimum value, what happens? Oh, sorry. When we reduce the to minimum value, notice that it doesn't cross this boundary. It just makes it more contrasty. And the same thing goes for the 2 max. Except the 2 max, one second, let me just do for minimum 0 to this, and then 2 max. Notice how when you change the 2 max value, if you set this to 0. Okay, I'm not actually sure what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, well, the only thing you really need to know is that the 2 minimum value changes within this small radius, right? And this small radius is determined by the from max value. So the two things you need to really understand is from max is basically how far the effect is going to be, how far the effect will reach. So if I have a body part that's all the way over here, I have to change my from max value all the way here. That's why from max is 5 when I was in my basic setup, right? So again, the from max determines how far the effect is. To minimum determines how strong the effect is. So the larger the negative on this to minimum, the more darker it'll be. And then the larger the from maximum, the farther this effect will take place in. So those are the two variables you want to change. From max to min. To max doesn't really change that much, honestly, because it's just, you're mapping it from here to there. So don't worry too much about that. Maybe you could also, increase it so you can have like a brighter outer line, right? But yeah, it doesn't really matter too much, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. But yeah, my default setting should be fine. So 5 here, 6 here, and then you change it to minimum, whatever you want. Right, so I think that's it from me for today. That's it from me for today. So if there's no other questions, I'll be leaving you guys like this, and I will be going to take a small nap because my body has not recovered from football. Yeah. Right, no questions. I think it's just Cheese and me here. So I'll see you later, Cheese. Thanks for joining the stream. Thank you everybody else for watching the VODs as well. I probably won't be streaming for the next week or so. I might stream, but I don't plan on streaming because I need to be available for some legal matters. So yeah. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.